Hello and welcome to our third tutorial. I've had a little rummage through the cupboards again to see what we can try and find, and I thought today the weather's really nice and warm. How about some really lovely fish cakes? Really easy to do using ingredients you've got in your cupboard. Very, very healthy because we're actually going to be using tinned fish today. Lots of ingredients on the tray that I'm going to point out to you. Frozen peas, I'm sure we've all got these in the cupboard. A little bit of chopped parsley, fresh or dried if you've got it. Ideally, I would use a spring onion, however, I didn't have any in the bottom of my fridge. So I've sauteed a leek for about 2 minutes in the microwave, just in a little bit of water, and just allowed them to go cool. A lemon, make sure at the moment you really wash the lemons, because where they're loose like this, lots of people may have been touching or holding the lemons. So really good to wash underneath the tap and dry off on a little bit of kitchen paper. I've got some horseradish sauce, and you've got a choice really whether or not you use horseradish or whether you use tartar. Either would go really, really nicely with your fish cakes. And then it comes to your choice of fish. Now, I've actually got quite a lot of tinned fish in the cupboard. I have pilchards, which are ideal as a snack on toast. I've also got some mackerel here, which is in olive oil, and I've also got some tinned sardines there. So really, whatever you have, you could use tuna. If you happen to have a tin of salmon, be it pink, be it red, you could use that as well. Or you could use smoked mackerel that's already pre-cooked. All these fishes are really, really beneficial for the heart and actually help in reducing blood pressure in men particularly. So something we should be eating quite a lot of, and it's a really good way of including some tinned fish into your diet. Now this looks quite interesting here. I've got 3 little pots. You don't have to do this. This is going to be a breadcrumb topping for the fish cakes. And I've got some normal just flour there. It could be any type of flour. I've got a beaten egg, and I've got some panko breadcrumbs. I'll explain those a little bit later to you. And underneath here, you're probably all wondering what it is. It's actually some mashed potato. Now, this is some potato I did extra yesterday, so I had enough to make some fish cakes today. So I'm going to move on swiftly and show you how to make the fish cakes. Okay, so off we go. Mashed potato. Now make sure when you get your potato, it's a really, really dry potato, and when you mash it, don't actually put any spread or any butter or milk in with that, because you want the fish cake mash really dry. You can see how that is. That's almost crumbling away there now. So that's had no added extras to that. That was just plain potato, boiled up for about 15 to 20 minutes and mashed quite finely. Into there I'm going to pop the parsley and the leek. You can see how simple this really is to prepare. Also in there, a teaspoon. I'm using horseradish because I really think horseradish and mackerel go very, very nicely together. Now that's actually quite generous, but up to you how much you want to put in there. Pop in the peas as well, and just give that a good mix. If you want to use your hand, you can use your hand in there, otherwise just a wooden spoon is fine. That looks delicious. Fish cakes are actually quite trendy at the moment, and when we get a chance to go back to our favourite restaurants, they're quite often on the menu and are very, very expensive. However, to make at home, it's something really economical. You could make extra and actually freeze them, but always freeze them prior to cooking. Don't freeze them once you've actually cooked the fish cakes. And remember, always with your freezer, to label and date it. I'm sure we've probably all got frozen peas in the bottom that have been there quite some time, and it's important that we use up the things in the freezer on a regular basis. So that's all mixed together now. So all that's left me to do is to pop the fish in there shortly. step is to carefully drain the oil off the mackerel. This has gone in olive oil, as I say. Quite often they come in tomato sauce, or I've actually seen lots of different flavourings now, even as far as curry sauce. Now when you mash them up, not too finely, because we do want to see a nice bit of chunky fish in the fish cake. So you can see there I've actually left some of the pieces quite large, and all I've done is just broken it up with the fork. You could put 2 tins in there if you wanted to. However, just the one for us today. And then another mix around before I'm going to shape it. Now here, this would probably make about 4 fish cakes. Because of time, I'm just going to show you 2 of them and see how we go. So the next stage is to take a handful, depends on how large you want your fish cake, obviously, nice clean hands, I have washed them, and shape them into a patty shape. Now I think that's large enough for one. If you want to go smaller and make bite-sized ones, you can. If you want to make them larger, again you can. In a little bit of flour, this is a little bit on the messy side, then into your egg, and then into the panko breadcrumbs. Now, if you didn't have the breadcrumbs, I actually bought these online. You can make breadcrumbs from, as we see there, a little French stick or some stale bread. Panko breadcrumbs are Japanese, and they tend to use them to coat the chicken for katsu curry, but you don't have to have them. They're a nice crunchy breadcrumb, or you can leave the fish cake what we call naked if you want to, and not put any breadcrumbs or egg on there at all. So that's one done, just pat that down. Just going to show you a second one. So you can see it's probably enough for 4 or 5 in there. Now you may have noticed, if you're being very observant, I have a baby bell on my tray. Some people do a melt in the middle fish cake and pop a little baby bell in the centre and then put the potato mixture around it. But that's a little bit of a luxury. So today I'm just keeping them nice and plain. Again, coat them round, and that's your 2 fish cakes. Don't they look lovely? So obviously now I just need to go and wash my hands. So here they are, ready to go into the oven now. Whoops, nearly lost them. Going to give them about 20 minutes, 200 on a fan oven, gas mark 6, and we'll see those when they come out. So here's the fish cakes straight from the oven. Don't they just look delicious? Now, those of you who have been very observant, which I hope you all have, probably noticed I left up the lemon zest. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm just going to put a little bit on top of them once I serve them up. So using your fish slice, I really think one of these fish cakes would be adequate. They are quite large, and the lemon zest that I told you about making sure when you wash your hands, I actually forgot to put it in there, but it will now be in the crumb, and that's fine, and also it helps to garnish. When you're taking the zest off, don't go right down to the flesh. The pith on there is actually quite bitter, so just the top part of the lemon there, and if you can remember to put it in with the mixture, so much the better. And then a little garnish with some parsley, and there's our dish of the day. So again, to everyone, stay well, stay safe, and make sure you keep cooking. Hopefully you're using the recipes that have been chosen for you, and you'll have now had the opportunity to make your muffins, and your crumpets, and your frittata, and now the delicious mackerel fish cakes.